Hi, it's Debbie with the Pickin Coop Farmstead. I'm in my kitchen now. It is Wednesday morning. I've preheated my oven to 350. I'm going to be baking these cookies. It's called old-fashioned oatmeal cookies. I got this on the internet, probably from Pinterest. And it's from the anthonykitchen.com. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the links to this recipe in the comments, so that way you guys, if you want to make these cookies, can do it at home. Plus I'm giving this guy the credit. So let's go over the ingredients in just 1 second. All right, so I want to go over the ingredients that you need. I think I've made these before, that's why I kept them. And you are going to need flour. I'm going to double the recipe because this is supposed to make 24 cookies. So I'm feeding about 9 to 10 people out there. So I want them to at least have 2 to 3 cookies a piece. So I'm going to double this recipe. Then you're going to need baking soda, which I have here in this big giant thing. Fine sea salt. I love Redmond's. That's what I like to use now. Some cinnamon. I use, this is organic cinnamon from Costco. It has a really good flavor. It's really good. Granulated sugar, which I use the unrefined sugar. And then you're going to have 2/3 of a cup of unsalted butter, which that's what these guys are. It says that needs to be melted and slightly cooled. Half a cup of brown sugar. And I think, let's see what else. Oh, 1 large egg. Pure vanilla extract, which I make my own. I always shake it before I use it. And 2 cups of old-fashioned oats, not the quick cooking stuff. All right, so I am going to grab an egg and I'm going to get my butter melting because those things require some prep. All right, so it takes 2/3 of a cup of butter. So I'm doubling the recipe. So we have about 1 1/4 cups of butter here. I need to turn this on to get that melting down. I'm just putting it on medium. I've got 2 of my stoneware, the large baking sheets. And I'm very sad because I ordered the baking kit with my Bosch mixer and I got these free with that, which is awesome. But they're too big for these pans. So I don't get to take those for a trial run, which I'm sad. But I always have plenty of parchment paper. So I've already put parchment paper in that one. I've got my oven preheating. I've got my butter melting. And now I've got my pans prepared. There we go. So we can actually start. Let's do this. Helps if I put it on the right burner. I think what I'm going to do is chop these up. They're frozen. Does this one still have the paper on it? No. Okay. My hands, believe it or not, are clean. They're garden hands. All right. So we've got that going on. I'm just going to leave this paddle, because this dough is pretty dense, I believe, in my Bosch mixer. So our recipe says, first thing you're going to do, actually we need 2 eggs. Hello, McFly, we're doubling this. Hold on, let me grab another one. All right, so first we're going to mix our dry ingredients. I'm just going to put my recipe. I need one of those little recipe holder things. Okay, we got our oven preheating. We have our, cookie sheets ready to go. Butter's melting. A small mixing bowl, whisk together the flour, soda, salt, and cinnamon set aside. So let's do that now. It says 1 cup of flour, but remember we are doubling it. So we are going to do 2 cups of flour. And I just use my handy dandy little homemade spurtle to Oh, there's 1, 2. Okay, that takes care of the flour. Make sure my microphone's on. And next, let's see, flour, baking soda, salt, and cinnamon. So the baking soda, it says half a teaspoon, so we want 1 full teaspoon. And mine has clumps in it. I bought it at Costco. You want to make sure those little clumps are out of there because you'll get a big chunk of baking soda in your cookies, and that's not good. That happened to me, actually. All right, we're going to get that out of the way. And we have salt and cinnamon. So the salt is 3/4 of a teaspoon. Twice. And I'm a weirdo. I like to put my things away as I use them. That way I'm not stuck doing that at the end. Let's see. Get that. Put that back. How is our little butter? It's going. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Okay, and then we have cinnamon. So 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. So we want a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I love these. These are my little vintage. I think I got them for $1 or something at my favorite thrift store. Okay, so we got the cinnamon. And this is all our dry ingredients. So we are going to whisk that around just to mix it. All right, that is done. So next it says, let's see if we can put this back up here. This is a great spot for this. I need a clipboard, it might work better. All right, and let's see, add the melted butter, light brown sugar, and granulated sugar to the bowl of a stand mixer. So that is our mixer over here. So let's go ahead and get everything but the butter, the granulated sugar, and the light brown sugar. So let's do 1/2 cup. Twice is 1 cup of packed brown sugar. You guys remind me, we'll taste test these cookies when they're done. And hopefully they're delicious, especially since I'm giving them away. If they're not, I'm like, uh-oh. But there we go. We're packing this down. Come on, little fella. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of far away from the camera. All right, so that's going to go in our mixer. I'm going to move my camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. So we are adding this to our mixer. And then our recipe says the granulated sugar, which is 1/2 cup. So you're going to go for 1 cup of the granulated sugar as well. I'm excited to have a new recipe in my repertoire. All right, so we've got our sugars added. Let's see, I got a little bit more of that over there. Okay, so now we're just going to wait for the butter to continue melting and then cool it a little bit. Okay, I wanted to show you something I didn't think of till just now, but my little mini cast iron skillet stays hot for a really long time. So I'm sitting here waiting for my melted butter to cool, and I thought, I'm going to pour that in a different vessel, one that's not hot, so it'll cool down quicker. Another little tip, I have my Pampered Chef ice cream scooper. These things are really expensive. I got it at a thrift store for like 50 cents. Super happy with this guy. So anywho, what you do, I don't have one of those fancy little cookie dough scoopers and you go like this and it scrapes it right off onto your cookie sheet. This is about 2 tablespoons, and that's about the size of the amount of dough that this recipe calls for. So I just kind of scoop it out and I throw it on to the cookie sheet. Another thing I didn't show you, I'm going to be adding raisins to this mix. Let me grab them. I keep them in the freezer. So it'd probably be a good idea to measure these out, however many I'm going to use, and add a little bit of hot water to them so they kind of plump up. So I put about 3/4 of a cup in there because you're going to have over 2 cups of dough. So hopefully this will be enough. But look how big these raisins are. I got these from my milkman last year because I only have grapes that have seeds in them. So these are perfect, he said, for making raisins. So I bought it, I think I can't remember how many pounds I bought from him. Anyways, and I got 2 pint-sized jars full of raisins, and I just keep them in the freezer. I just added some hot tap water to this, and I will drain these off before I put them in the dough. That'll be the last thing I do. So these guys are going to sit on the counter, and they are going to plump up. So I'll put those off to the side. And let's see. My hands are clean. I'm going to check my butter. I think we're okay. So we're going to go back, and we're going to go over to the Bosch mixer. There we go. Now, our recipe says you add the melted butter, the brown sugar, and the granulated sugar to your bowl. Get every bit of goodness in there. And I think we're supposed to mix now. Butter, brown sugar, granulator. Put it on medium-high speed for 2 minutes. So we're going to put this on. Handy dandy little lid. Bear with me here. There we go. Oh, helps if you plug it in. Not. All right, here we go. Okay, we are going to turn this on. All right, next. Let's see. Add the egg and vanilla and mix until evenly distributed. So if you have chickens and therefore fresh eggs, I break them one at a time because you don't want any nasty surprises with a rotten egg in there. You can also float test them first, which I always do anyways, and make sure that they sink to the bottom and not float. Floating eggs are mean they're bad eggs. Sorry, I just kind of went brain dead for a minute. Okay, so our vanilla, it says 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So we want 2 teaspoons. Sorry, I'm hitting my, and I always shake this first. There's 1, 2. Okay. So these are all of our wet ingredients. Got the butter, brown sugar, granulated sugar. We did that, and then we added our egg and vanilla and mix until evenly distributed. I'll put this guy back on. Did I say I love my mixer? I love my mixer. Okay, so this is all evenly distributed. I should have probably put this in a better spot. Okay, we are on page 2 now. Now you're going to add the dry ingredients, mix on low to combine. So here's our dry ingredients. And I'm just going to get this stuff off the top. There we go. I'm going to put the lid on just because I don't want that stuff flying everywhere. Okay, now it says to scrape down the sides. Some of this is just common sense, but if nobody's ever baked cookies before, this would be a good video. We don't have a whole lot on the sides, but I'm going to scrape it down anyways. There is some flour up on this part where the little teeth are. I'm going to get that out. There we go. Or you just scrape it down, scrape it down. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this back on. Mix it again just for a minute. Okay, now we're going to add our oats. Recipe calls for 1 cup of oats, I believe. Let's go back. Yes. Oh, actually 2 cups of oats. So we're going to add 4 cups of oats. Oh, come on, little fella. So here's our oats. I keep them in a jar like this. I buy mine from Moore's Flour Mill. And let's see. I'm going to use my big measuring cup. All right, we have exactly 4 cups of oats. So let's see, it says add blah blah blah, add the oats and mix on low. So here's our oats. Okay, we have a bunch of stuff here. There we go. All right, I'm gonna get this off the top. I'll show you up close what this looks like once I get my raisins in there. I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. I'll be right back. All right, so now I'm going to take my hopefully plumped raisins and put them through this strainer. I'll be right back. These plumped up nicely. It scared me. I didn't think I had my thing on. And I just pushed this down with the raisins down with my little spatula. I probably could have put more in there, but that's okay. I'm going to dump those in. Give them a little PJ whirl. Okay, let's do an up close look, and you can actually, let me take the lid off. That looks incorporated lovely. All right, let's take a look. Right down in that bowl. Look at that. Smells delicious. All right, so now we're going to take the beater off. Let's go over here, sorry. It just lifts straight up like that. You can use your fingers, spatula, whatever you like. Get every bit of that batter off. You worked really hard for these ingredients to put them together, and you worked really hard to pay for them. So let's put this down. All right, so I'm just going to put that in there. I'll be right back. All right, so with a simple twist, this bowl comes right off of the mixer, and I just kind of fill this up, and we're going to drop these cookies right onto our parchment. You can get another spoon to do this if you want. There we go. And so we're going to load both these trays in, and we are going to let them bake. There we go. Let's look at the recipe here. It says put them about 2 inches apart. Generous amount of batter, doesn't really say. Spacing each cookie, blah, blah. Bake for 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm going to finish loading these up. Sorry. And getting them in the oven. There we go. I hope there's enough batter here. Everybody's only going to get like one cookie, because this seems like it's not very much to me. But it's a nice consistency of a batter. And I'm trying to making sure that I get at least one raisin in every cookie. That's the OCD part of me. There we go. And we will get out the next tray. This thing is still kind of warm. I really don't want to put my cookie tray on that. So you really don't want me to load up this second one, but I'm going to, and then we're going to cook them, and then we'll taste test, see how they look, and taste test. Alright, so in this section I forgot to turn my microphone on. The cookies look yummy, they're moist, and now we're going to take a taste test, and we'll see how these turn out. I'm very, very excited about it. And you do have to let them cool a little longer than the recipe says, otherwise they just kind of fall apart before you. So I just took them out and left them on the parchment on the counter. Oh, these are super, super good. They're delicious. So I'm going to put a star on that recipe so I know they're delicious. So they took a little longer to cook than it said, but everybody's oven is different. I can only cook like one thing at a time, but thank you so much for watching. Happy baking. I'll talk